Welcome back to the Hive Doctor, your beekeeping mentor. Today I want to talk about what we can do with our wet honey supers. After we've finished extracting them and they're still wet with honey, what are our options with what to do with those, and especially during a time when bees are getting a little bit robby, is the word that I like to use. So as you can see, I'm here in this apiary today. I've got 10 wet honey supers ready to do something with on those hives way off in the background there. So let's go over our options and see what we can do. So stick around. Welcome back, beekeepers. So I've been parked here for 10, probably going on 15 minutes at a distance from my bees. You can see them way off in the background above my bucket here. And I'm just kind of testing the waters. I have several options available to me, and just like you do, about what to do with my wet supers, but I wanted to see first what it was going to be like in the yard. So I gave the bees time to kind of let me know what the conditions are. Are they robby at all? Are they kind of robby, or are they really robby? Because depending on which one of those they are is going to kind of dictate what I am going to do with my wet supers. So right now, I would say they're moderately robbing. If they were really heavily robby right now, there'd be a cloud of bees around this truck, and that's just not the case. It probably would be in another half hour, but there's still things blooming, not a lot. We don't have a strong flow. Our summer sourwood flow is over, but there are still things blooming, things that are available for the bees to go and forage. So they're not all at home just sitting around wondering what to do, twiddling their thumbs. But as soon as I pulled into the yard, they smelled these wet honey supers really quickly, real easy. So one of the things I was thinking about doing when I came over is, if they weren't very robby, I was gonna pop the covers on each of these colonies that needs a medium honey super. See, after I just pulled my summer crop, I've got everything down mostly into a single deep. And I was gonna work them back up into a 1.5 going into the fall and ultimately the winter time. If they were really heavily robbing, then I was just going to stack these boxes at a distance, not right in my apiary, you know, not like on one of the empty spots on my hive stands where a hive normally would go, because that would incite robbing within the yard too much. And I don't want to do that because I've got splits over here, splits that are making their own queens. So in other words, they're not yet an established colony. And the issue that plays is, if I incite robbing by bringing these wet honey supers and putting them in the yard and just stacking them up for the bees to come and rob out before I do anything with them, like distribute them among the colonies, then I could incite that robbing too much to the point where they start to rob on one another, and they're going to pick on the weakest colonies first. And a queenless colony, even if they've got queen cells, if they don't have a laying queen, they're considered weaker than an established colony. And my stronger ones will start to pick on the ones that are still trying to raise a queen, my splits. So with this moderate robbing going on, I could still choose to go ahead and pop hive covers real quick and stick one box on each colony. Or I could just go ahead and make a stack somewhere over here near the tree line, about 100, 150 feet away from the apiary there, and let them travel a short distance to come and rob these boxes out. And they would probably do that for the rest of the evening here, a little bit in the morning, but then it would be a little bit more safe to put these out on my colonies because there's nothing yet left to rob. They've already licked the boxes clean. So let's say that I'm gonna make a stack of boxes. How would I want to do that? Well, I want to do it in such a way that the bees can access the boxes quickly and that rain can't get in. But I also want to do it in a way that a raccoon or a possum won't be able to get into my boxes and chew the bottom of the comb or anything. I've had that happen. They're mostly after like the hive beetle larvae, which I don't have in these boxes. But you got to keep in mind that these critters that love to eat bugs, they will eat them no matter where they find them. And your honey supers are included in that. I've had a few deep frames ruined lately from woodland critters looking to eat that hive beetle larva. They're helping me, but they're also tearing up my comb, and that's not a good thing. It's important to me to be able to get these wet supers out as soon as possible after having spun them in my extractor so that they get licked out, so I don't have any hive beetle larvae start to take over, which they will do without bees maintaining the comb. And eventually wax moth could move in as well and destroy a lot of comb, because we're still, we're in summertime. Wax moth thrives in warm weather. So I've got to think, how can I best maintain and manage my resources, which in this case is drawn out comb, without any loss. And for me, that's to get it back out on the bees as soon as possible. And the level of robbing is just going to dictate how I do that and when. All right, so what I've decided to do is go ahead, light a smoker, and distribute these wet supers out by putting them on the hives. I'm not going to stack them at a distance, and here's my reasoning for that. It's the evening time. They don't have many hours left in the day to incite robbing on one another. Not that it can't happen, but it's less likely than if I were to do this in the morning. Then they would have all day, all the day hours to kind of get jealous and start poking around each other and get that robbing tendency. So being in the evening, I feel like it's safe to go ahead and put these on since they're not heavily robbing, and that gives every hive the night hours to be able to start cleaning up these wet supers, tuck that little bit of honey away that they are able to get, and that way by morning time it won't quite smell as fresh in the yard here like honey as it does right now with having these fresh wet supers on the back of my truck. And while there's no right or wrong decision or choice or way of doing this, there are easier ways and there's harder ways. No matter what way that you choose, at least know that you've got options, and whatever way you decide to do it, make a plan, stick with it, and just do it. Don't regret it afterwards, just learn from it. I have had a house full of bees when we got into the year where there was a dearth and they started robbing really badly, and I had to find an Airbnb nearby to go stay at until the house could clear of bees. And that's not a fun thing to do. It wasn't smart, but it happened, and I learned from that, and I never extracted honey in the house again. I didn't have a facility for quite a few years like I do now. Lesson learned. I'm going to show you how I'm going to put these out as quick as I can to minimize the robbing. And obviously, the longer I'm taking to film this video, for example, they're going to get a little bit more pecky on these boxes, but that's okay. I'm not worried about it. It's no big deal. It is what it is, and they're not incredibly aggressive. Sometimes bees can get so robby that they will become aggressive and sting you. So although I have found that to be rare, it is a possibility. So let's get that smoker lit. Just want to remind you guys, when you're lighting your smoker, to do it as safe as you can. You're playing with fire. It's okay because you're an adult now. But as you see, I'm lighting my smoker on my metal tailgate. That should be good. This will stay lit plenty long enough to do what I need to do today. All right, with the smoker lit, I'm going to unstrap my boxes, pull my bed slide out. All right, now we're going to get some hive covers popped so I can start getting these boxes out and hive covers put back on quick. Now, one of the things I'm going to be doing when I do this is just one hive at a time. I know I kind of made it sound like I was going to pop all the covers and then start putting boxes out. But during a time when bees have that robbing tendency, you don't want to open up all the hives. That could incite a lot of robbing within the yard because they smell that fresh honey. So you want to think containment. How can I contain this smell the most with the least amount of exposure? And so you want to move kind of quick. Always have your smoker lit. It's going to help you move a lot faster, especially minimizing those stings. So I'm going to do one colony at a time with that minimal exposure in mind. Well, as it turns out, I got about 6 of these wet supers out. 4 of them I'm just going to take back to the honey house. I didn't need them because I had already distributed some and just forgot about that. So that's where we are with that. I was able to get this done pretty quickly, and I'm not really concerned about any of my splits being robbed on. These wet supers should also keep each colony busy, so they've got their own thing to focus on without going and looking elsewhere. If you have any questions about what kind of options you have when it comes to what to do with your wet supers, let me know. I've probably dealt with just about every scenario, from easy all the way up to hairy and scary. So drop me something in the comments below on this. Also drop me one of these. Don't forget to tell your friends about the Hive Doctor, and I'll see you guys in the next video.